for example, the fact that Shakespeare's sonnets are written to a young man. We know Shakespeare was married, but the fact that Shakespeare wrote those sonnets to a young man wasn't unusual. That's like a kind of old European court tradition that the poetry was written from an older man to a younger man, right?
Huh, I didn't know about that.
Now, the tendency of scholars today is say, well, therefore Shakespeare was gay, right? Therefore he must have been homo or whatever. But it's just like, well, we know he was married. And then the last 30 sonnets are written to a dark mistress. The chap he's been writing to gets involved in like a love triangle with Shakespeare and this dark mistress. That poem, Shall I Compare Thee to a Summer's Day, is written to a young man.
But why does it not say, thou art more handsome and more temperate?
Because again, see, this is the if you really want to properly take a look at this issue, a lot of our assumptions about a lot of things date to the late 19th century.
Yeah.
So when it comes to a lot of this topic,
if you're saying that an older man would admire the beauty in a young man.
Yes.
Interesting.
But you see, it comes down to, in Aristotle, he had this notion that because men were above women, you could only find true, platonic, you could only find true love between equals. So you kind of meet on this higher plane of men. This is a kind of Aristotelian notion of hierarchy and equality between the genders. And so they had this notion that the love between a man and a woman could only ever be unequal. Yep. Whereas the love between two men could be true because you can meet on the same plane. And at the lower level, you can have love between two women. So, for example, in there are loads of kind of relationships in Shakespeare that, on the face of it, seem quite lesbian. Like when Rosalind decides that she wants to shag Orlando, Celia's just like, okay, I'll kind of watch then, I suppose. So there's a lot there, but there's lots of stuff like that goes on. And it's like, these aren't just like quirks of Shakespeare. They're just deep in the culture there.
This is quite common in Romanticism as well, Shelleying Keats and Byron for sure. Well, I mean, he definitely was a bit the other way, but yeah.
It was sometimes, yes. I mean, it was occasionally not quote platonic, but yes, and I've talked about this all the time. I mean, many of the sort of, I think, notions that have screwed us up so much came out of the 19th century, came out of the sort of Victorian era. I mean, the word homosexual is a 19th century invention. It's a horrible mixture of Greek and Latin. It's a very inelegant blend of the two. But yes, I mean, this whole notion of homosexuality was as an identity, as a kind of way of being, is a recent invention. I mean, people say, was Michelangelo gay? Was Shakespeare gay? There was no gay. Didn't exist.
One made a terrible error in the 19th century by creating the legal category of homosexual.
Yeah.
Because all of the bullshit that we have to put up with now, and the Pride and the Stonewall and bloody endless stuff about Alan Turing and all the rest of it, basically comes out of the fact that they invented that legal category.
Yeah.
So now, of course, we get the the redemption arc or whatever that they want to do. Whereas if they just left it as